I've had the beans soaking for about 8 hours now. I'm going to go ahead and rinse them out several times and then add the water and the salt. So I'll go ahead and put my ferment lid on so that I can go ahead and dump this water out, put some more water in there, and just rinse it a few times. I just add water back in like that, and then I'll just rinse it several times. Okay, so these are the beans. They've been rinsed out. Initially what went in here was just 1 cup of beans, and after soaking, you know, they absorb a lot of that water and they plump up. And so that's how full the jars are now. So it looks pretty good. I went ahead and I added, since these are quart jars, I went ahead and added a teaspoon of salt in each jar. You can omit the salt if you don't want to put the salt in there. If you're trying to control your sodium, your salt intake, just omit it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour water in each jar. Let's start with this one back here, and this water is steaming water. I've had it warming up. And I'm going to fill this with water till I get to 1 inch headspace. Let me turn this around because maybe you can see where this white part ends right here on the funnel. That's the 1 inch, but I don't even go with that. I just use it more just to funnel the water in there. It's really when you get this right here, that's your 1 inch. So that's kind of like what I go by. I mean, I measure anyway. So that looks about right to me, but as y'all know, I normally keep a little teaspoon so that I can add more or take away water if I do too much. So we're going to go ahead and measure the first one I did. I'm going to stop adding the water there. We're going to go ahead and measure the first one. And see, you can see where I have to dip to touch the water. So that's not quite at 1 inch headspace, so it needs a tiny bit more. I mean, like tiny bit more. But I'm going to add a little bit more because what's going to happen is as soon as I debubble, it's going to sink down. So we're at 1 inch. You can see it right there where it's touching. But I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to put it in there and just kind of move it around. Just make sure I get out any air. I like going around the outside and then going in the middle. And when you do that, most of the time, well, it didn't. You can see I'm still at 1 inch. So we're good. So now what I will do is I'm going to wipe my rim down with some vinegar. And so I have some vinegar on here. And I'm just going to go around the rim and make sure that I don't have anything on there. No little bits of salt, no little bits of beans or anything like that. And then I am going to get my flat. I've got my flat. I'm just going to set my flat right on there. And I am going to get my ring. And I am going to just go finger tight. Well, I'm holding the camera with the other hand, so I can't go. But I'm going to go ahead and just go finger tight, like right there, there's resistance. When I get my other hand, I'm going to hold that. I'm going to go a tiny bit more, and that's going to be finger tight. And then I'm going to do that to the other 3 jars. Okay, and so I've got the other 3 jars in there, and here's the 4th one going in. And if you've watched the previous video, you'll see that I got a canner yesterday. I ordered a canner and it got here yesterday. It's a smart canner, digital canner, and so this is the third load that I'm putting in. The first two were chicken broth. I've got 8 quarts of chicken broth, and now I am putting in the pinto beans. And so I'm very much enjoying this. So anyway, so I've got the 4 quarts in there, and I marked that one with an X because as I was wiping with vinegar, even though I always run my finger when I'm washing them before I get started, I must have missed it. So right now when I was doing the vinegar, there's a tiny little nick there, and I don't know if it's going to interfere with it, but I went ahead and put an X just to see. And if I was really worried about it, I would have switched out the jar and everything, but I'm not worried about it because if it doesn't seal, I'll just put it in the refrigerator and we'll just have beans within the next couple of days. So not a big deal. So I'm gonna put the lid down, and then we just turn it that way. My gauge right here, I'm gonna have it on exhaust. There is a little arrow right there, and so I'm gonna make sure it's good on exhaust, and it is. And then I am going to come down here, and because these are beans and they are quart, they require 90 minutes. So I'm going to hit high, which is for the pressure canner. And then I'm going to go on time plus, and I'm going to go up to 90 minutes. And then I'm going to hit start, and it's going to go ahead and do that till it gets hot enough where it needs to be. And then once that happens, it'll beep and it'll start, and it'll vent. It'll start venting from up there, and right here it'll put an E and a 10 and a 10, and it'll start counting down from 10 to E0 when it's done venting for 10 minutes, and then it will beep again, and then I will come back and I will set that to airtight, and then it will start doing this again, and then it'll get to where it needs to be, and it'll start its countdown from 90 minutes down to 0, and then it'll beep, it'll cut off, it'll say off right here. And my next step is then to unplug it and leave it alone, and it says to leave it for an hour before you come and try to open it and do anything with your jars. Last night, I left it for an hour and one of my jars siphoned, and so I'm thinking that was it, but I'm not 100% sure. Today, I left it for, I was busy, so I didn't get back to it till like, I think it was an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you know, it was still hot in there, but everything was fine, and I didn't get no siphon. As you can see, there's no siphoning at all in these jars, and that's what I like. So I'll leave it in hour and a half, 2 hours, and then I'll open my lid. I'll let them sit in there for like 5 or 10 minutes just to acclimate to the temperature change, and then I will, with my jar lifter, I will get them out of there. I will set them on the towel like those other ones, and then I'll just leave them there for 24 hours. So this right here is just getting to where it needs to be, and this could take it, I think it says, the manual says 25 to 30 minutes or 20 to 25 minutes or something like that. So that'll do that before it gets to the point. But this is pretty much it. You have a couple times that you have to come and you have to mess with it, but other than that, you don't have to really babysit it. So I'm very much enjoying this right now. It's only my second day, third load just went in, so I'll keep you guys updated. And you can see it started counting down already. It starts at 10 and it's already down to 6. And I don't know if you can see the steam, but you can certainly hear it. But that's its venting for 10 minutes. So it's got 5 more minutes to go. And then I'll have to go ahead and move the gauge to airtight. So because I'm doing so many other things, I'm going to go ahead and set my timer for 4 minutes so that I can be here when I need to do this, in case I don't hear the beep. So it beeped, it's at 0, and I'm going to go ahead and, I don't know if I caught it on camera, but I just moved this and now it's on airtight, and you heard it stop steaming, and now it's going to go back to, well, it's doing this, but it's going to go back to its little going around. You'll see it in a second. Kind of like when we started, where it starts going around in circles. So it went from the E0, and now it starts doing this, and it'll continue to do this until it actually gets up to pressure where it needs to be, and then once it gets up to pressure, it will actually start counting down. And so we set it for 90 minutes. When it gets up to pressure, it will start counting down. But this is where we're at right now. And it'll just continue to do that right there until it comes to pressure. Yesterday I wasn't sure what it was doing, but that's what it's doing. I didn't catch the beep, but you see it's up to down to 87 minutes. So it's got 87 minutes to go. And then it will be done pressure counting. It will beep, and I will count, and this will turn to OFF for off, and I will unplug it and then just let it sit without doing anything else to it. The manual says approximately an hour. I think I'm going to go for an hour and a half or so. And then we'll be ready to take out the charge. It's been 12 hours and they've all sealed. And you can see where, when I first took them out, this was still bubbling. And you can see where it started to thicken up because it's pretty cool. So that's it. I'll let them sit for till later tonight, and then I will take these rings off. I will wash everything. I will label them, and I will put them in the pantry along with these guys. These are the broths. Oh. Pretty.